my son comes up and is like, hey, Dad, do you want to play dragons? Yes, absolutely. And then I turn into this like, rah, dragon or T-Rex kind of flying wing character or whatever. And he loves that.
Welcome to A Home That Heals. I'm Dee, along with my daughter Brie. And if you're looking for a happier life at home this year, you are in the right place. Today, how to bring laughter, joy, and important life lessons into your home through the art of improv.
But first, remember, you know your kids better than anyone. You're the expert when it comes to your family, and God gives us amazing tools to do this. So enjoy the ideas you're about to hear with this in mind. You were made for this.
You're about to meet an old friend. That doesn't mean he's old. You're actually you're not old. But Sean Hancock is a good friend. He's a performer, award-winning actor, the creator of a very popular comedy company based in Boise, Idaho, Recycled Minds. And he's a wonderful teacher, and his coaching is sought after by corporations, executive teams, and yes, regular folk like Brie and me. Mm-hmm. We love his ideas. You should know that he's a follower of Jesus, married to Colleen, and they are quite a team at Recycled Minds, and also in another very big project, and that is raising their 2 kiddos. So, Sean, it is so good to have you here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. It's an honor and a joy, and I've been so excited I've been anticipating being here, so I'm stoked.
Okay, so now make us laugh.
Yeah, buckle up, everyone. I hope you all went to the bathroom before the podcast started. If you're driving your car, good luck.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a rough ride. Oh, Sean, you have been anytime I encounter you, it just brings a smile to my face. And Mom, you mentioned old friends. We got to do life together several years ago when you were doing the comedy thing and I was still doing music. I just love the light that shines through you, that God has given you. And it's been really fun to connect, especially on this, because I keep thinking of Sean when it comes to raising kids.
How would Sean do this?
Yeah. What is his home like? I can't imagine him getting angry. I bet it's just so fun and all the kids are laughing and playing and it's just joyful. And so as we looked forward to interviewing you and we got onto your social media, I loved this post that you did on Instagram recently. You had this adorable picture of your little boy and girl, and it so ties into this theme that we're focused on here at A Home That Heals for 2023. You were made for this. Your post said, fatherhood is something I thought I would never be ready enough for, mature enough for, stable enough for, but that's changed. It's a bit like the quote, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. So before we tap into your teaching side, I'd love to hear more about your thoughts about that post that you put out there.
Yeah. I know that a lot of us have these busy lives where it's work, it's working hard to provide for our families, and we can get caught up in the busy. And I think one of the things that improv comedy has taught me is to be in the present moment and to shut off your phone, to put it away, and to be with those who are around you, to make time for the things that are important for you. And I think, to be honest with you, I had listened to a Jordan Peterson TikTok post or something, an Instagram story or something, where he was talking about how you have 4 years until that kid is you have 4 years to invest quality time, effort, energy into pouring into them. And after that, it's gone.
Wow.
It was kind of what he was saying. My son's 3, right? Ooh. So I how you can resample things. I took Jordan's quote and then I took images and videos of my kids playing and just as a reminder of this is precious and you don't want to miss it, right? You want it to be like that movie that replays in your mind all the time. But I think for me, the reason I wrote the post, it really was to inspire other dads and parents, Particularly dads, I think, because one, I am one, so that's probably the
of
easiest.
what you speak.
This one's for the ladies out there. So I am one, and also, dads are unfortunately not often there, and I've learned recently that we're in a really wild generation where it's the generation where dads aren't there, and it's not because they went off to war. It's because they checked out, or they're not even in the family dynamic anymore.
Well, and they're told they're not important anymore in so many instances.
Yeah. Especially now, our culture is just like, if you're a male figure, like get in the back of the bus kind of a thing. You're just taking a back seat to culture right now. Yeah. And it's not it's really a lie, because we need men to stand up and be the father figures that they're made to be. Yeah. And I think for me, my journey is stand in the place that you're made to be. Stand firm, stand your ground against culture, stand your ground against what other people are saying, and be who you're designed to be by how God has made you to be. And so if you are unaware of that, you're going to miss it. And you're going to miss it. So for me, it's like, take a moment of this time. I think everyone is wanting to be right where their feet are planted right now. They want to be rooted in this moment. And that was that moment of this picture that I caught with my kids. And my wife took the picture. I'm just holding my son and my daughter. And I looked at that and I was like, man, I understand what it's like to have toddlers and not get a lot of sleep, right? I've never been in a hostage situation, but I've had to deal with a toddler. You know what I'm
Very
saying?
similar.
Very similar. Like, I feel like parents who have had toddlers, like they can talk to terrorists and figure out how to save people's lives.
We could solve a lot of world problems if we would just.
I know, right? We just need to talk to more parents is the problem. But I was like, you know what? This isn't just for me. Other people need to know the power of being a parent. And I put off being a parent for a long time because, as I said in the post, I didn't think I was qualified. I wasn't ready. I look back at my mom and dad, and they started being a parent much earlier than I did.
Really? And they were great parents.
And they were great. You know what I mean? If they weren't great, I didn't know the difference because I looked up to them and they were my mom and dad, and they could do no wrong when you're a kid, you know? So anyways, that's why I wanted to share that post and just to remind people, like, hey, you don't have to be perfect. Life is a bit messy, but if you keep showing up and trying your best and keep surrendering to the Creator and be like, God, help me deal with this 3-year-old, or God, help me get through this diaper explosion, or whatever it is, like, you're going to make it out. And we need you to. We need you to make it out. Yeah.
Wow. I love that. You are singing our song, Sean. That is you just resonates. So thank you so much for sharing that. You know, I was thinking about, you're a comedy guy. And so I was joking when I said make us laugh, but everybody probably expects that from you.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm kind of guessing that maybe your favorite Bible verse is a joyful heart is good medicine. Because
that's a really good one, yeah.
But it's true, isn't it?
Absolutely, 100%. You know, even in culture, people say it's the best medicine, right? There's something that laughter does. There's something that joy does, which is why it's a fruit of the Spirit, right? Where it transforms us. I've seen people at funerals for their kid that somehow were still filled with joy, even they were in the midst of loss and sorrow and grieving. They still had joy. It's wild and it's weird and it's hard to misunderstand. So, and there's a difference between joy and happiness. Happiness is fleeting and it's momentarily, right? How are you right now? I'm happy. Well, give you 5 minutes. You're going to change like the weather, right? But joy is long lasting and it can take you through the toughest times in life. So that's why I'm a joy guy.
Yeah.
And joy runs with hope. They're connected. They run the same course together. And if your joy is missing, take a look at where your hope's at. Because if your hope is in the right place, joy is hot on its heels. So a lot of it is just aligning with where you at. Where's your head at? Where's your focus at? Where are your eyes at? Put them in the right place and watch your joy get uplifted too.
You know, when I was writing the intro for this podcast, I was really struggling whether to use the word happy. You know, I think I said something like, if you're wanting more happiness in your home, whether to use that or joy, because I think sometimes joy is like the second cousin to happy. It's like, if you can't be happy, well then let's see if you can find some joy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I love your thoughts on that. I mean, it's kind of, joy isn't the second cousin. It's actually the best, the richest, the deepest, the most long-lasting, the ever-present, even in times of trouble.
Yeah.
But that is exactly like you said, because of where it comes from.
That's right.
It comes from the Lord.
That's right.
Well, okay, so you shared this idea that was just mind-blowing to me about improv. Now, I've watched you do improv. I've watched you get people involved in it, laughing, having a good time. But I was never smart enough to sit back and think, oh, wonder how he does that, you know, and that there's actually a technique and there's really something to it. And so I am so intrigued to find out this idea about, first of all, really, what is improv?
Yeah.
And what are the principles that you say can be life-changing to result in more joy in our everyday life?
Awesome. Such a good question. Well, those of you who are listening, you're in luck because I'm going to give you 3 and the third one's going to change your life.
So stick around.
Yeah, so stick around. We're going to have to cut to commercial. Just kidding. I've been learning how to do hooks.
Hey, you got it down, brother.
So improvisation is a form of theater. It actually started as child therapy. A lot of people forget or didn't even know that.
Didn't know that.
Right. It started in Chicago. And if you've heard of the committee or if you've heard of Second City, that came out of this original Viola Spolin who had learned the principles of improv from child therapy, from play therapy. So that's the roots of it. And I have a heart for getting back to the roots of it.
Yeah.
So I deal a lot with adults, teens and adults. And oftentimes I'm giving adults the license to be kids again, right?
Yeah.
And how many of you know there's a difference between being childlike and childish, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then kids, I'm just giving them the confines, or not the confines, that's the wrong word, but like the boundaries to play well with others, right? So, and that's a good life lesson, is like, do you play well with others? Are you listening? So, all right, so let me get into a couple of the principles. Okay. So improvisation is coming up with something on the spot. That doesn't mean you don't have a plan, right? In fact, if you've ever watched movies like the Avengers movies or whatever, they have a plan. They're going to the course of attack. Their plan is foiled, and their next line is, "What do we do now?" And then Captain's like, "We improvise." Right? Yeah. So improvise is still trying to get your goal, but having to adapt, having to adjust. And that's what we've been having to do for the last several years of all this wildness that we're currently in, is how do we adapt? How do we pivot? Those are just other words for improvise, right? How do we get our goal, but have to improvise? So in the theater world, it's taking a suggestion and utilizing it and creating from just an offer, an idea from the audience and putting on a show.
Okay, so give me an example.
All right. So I might come to, I'm on stage and I come up to the audience and I'm like, hey, can I get a suggestion of some household appliance, right? And someone's like, blender. I'm like, great, awesome. So we use blender, right? And in our minds on stage, we're going into relationship. And a lot of improv theaters don't actually teach that relationship is the most important thing. It is. Mm-hmm. I'm not necessarily teaching people how to be funny. I'm teaching them how to do scenes well. And the funny comes as a byproduct of doing the things correctly, right? Oh, wow. So they start into a scene. And what's really cool is I might be personifying a blender and coming in and be like, hey guys, I'm just here to mix things up. You know what I mean? I may be dull right now, but I'm ready to get sharp. You know, or like little things like that where I'm trying to find some things that are punny or whatever to connect to my audience. And how many of you know you need to know your audience? And improv, it's great because you're talking to them and you're saying, what do you want to see? What do you want to hear? So Tina Fey has 4 rules of improv. And I'll share with you one that she doesn't have in it, but is extremely important. So the first one really that is the most important is to listen, is to listen to your audience, is to listen to yourself, is to listen to what is needed in the scene. And there's a Hebrew word called shema, which is like listening or hearing with the intent of doing something with the information you now have.
Oh, that's
right.
Good.
So as a believer or as a person who understands some things about Hebrew language, or at least this word shema, it's also a prayer in Hebrew. Like I'm praying, I'm listening to what God is asking me to do, and that I do it. So it's being obedient to what you hear, right? So it's the most active form of listening that you can do. Wow. And we often don't listen really well. We often, especially in a meeting, those of you who are listening, like maybe you're in a work and imagine you're in a brainstorm meeting, right? Usually you're listening enough for the person to stop talking so you can start. So listening. The other one is making statements versus questions. In improv, if you ask a question, you're putting it on the other person. So, why are you wearing that? Was once a question that I was asked. So now I have to justify the what and the why, right? But in a scene, or in life, we actually need to ask questions. Questions are good. We have to ask questions for ourselves. What motivates you? Why are you doing this? Is this the best thing for you? Does that make sense?
So you're improving your understanding
right.
as you ask those questions, so that you know how to accurately do the Shema,
right.
do the thing.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. The staple, and this is the one I was talking about. Like this one might change your life, right? Is yes and. It is the foundation that improv is built upon. Without it, you can't do the scenes well. And that's where yes and is I acknowledge what you're saying or doing. I acknowledge it, and I'm now coming alongside and I'm adding to it. So you brought in a brick, and I'm putting another brick right on top of what you did. Together, we're going to build this really beautiful cathedral together, right? Or whatever, we're going to build it together. You don't come in with it already built. The castle's not already built when you come in. It's one brick at a time. So you end up creating with the other people live on stage or in the classroom, and yes-anding. So those are the three, like, Shema, ask good questions, in improv, it's make statements. And that really boils down to being bold, stepping into it.
Well, let's put it into your life as a dad now. Now, your kiddos are, how old did you say?
1 and 3.
1 and 3.
Yeah.
So you have a lot to look forward to. You will get so much practice with this, you won't even believe it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, totally.
So when you think about putting those principles into action at home, because you want your home to be, a place where your kids are growing and well, all the stuff we all want.
Yeah,
it doesn't,
thriving.
Yeah. There you
Laughing
go.
more. Yeah.
Exactly. Give me some ideas here on how we can use these. I mean, listening, I think we all know intellectually that listening is so important, but it is so hard. We've done a podcast on that and talked about it a lot just as family, that it takes such discipline to listen and really hear and then to act appropriately. Right. So I think we could spend a lot of time, and maybe we can do another one so we can add to that. But this idea of yes and is something I had never really heard before. And I'd like to unpack it a little bit.
Sure.
How do you use that in real life in your home with your kids?
Yeah, great question. So if I ask my son, hey, buddy, pick up your blanket and come over here or something like this, and he says, no, I'm too busy. First off, I'm like, oh, where did he hear that? Right? I can't do something. I'm busy. I can't help you right now. And so
not from you.
They're not from me. Clearly his mother.
Well,
she's not here to defend herself. So throw her under the bus. So, no, it makes you think, like, I'm listening to him say, I'm too busy. You're 3 years old. And I'm talking about grabbing your blanket. Clearly you're not too busy. Clearly you learned that from probably dad, right? So this is what I was talking about, like, put down your cell phone and be in the moment kind of a thing. I was like, I probably at some point was on my phone texting a client or something, and he was talking, and I'm like, buddy, can you give me a second? I'm busy right now, or daddy's at work, right? And I work from home a lot. Yeah. So I have to separate myself so that my kids don't think I'm dad that I can play with in the moment. So I have to go to another place to be like, I'm going to work. I have to kind of remove myself from having good boundaries, right?
That's good.
Now, if I am in the moment and my son comes up and is like, hey, Dad, do you want to play dragons? And I was like, I can yes and that and go, yes, absolutely. And then I turn into this like, rah, dragon or T-Rex kind of flying wing character or whatever, and either chase him around the house or pick him up and fly with him or something like that. And he loves that. So I can stop whatever it is I'm doing and play with him for 5 or 10 minutes until he's just like giggling and laughing and thankful and maybe needs a break. You know what I mean? Or maybe I need a break or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So a mental break. So so that's how you can yes and is like, if your kiddo wants to play with you, be like, yeah, let's play. Why not? Why not? I've got 5 minutes. I've got 10 minutes or whatever. Make it happen. So that's one way to yes and.
Brie, I'm so thinking of you right now because you've said to me so many times, Mom, I want to be that yes mom. I'm so tired of always having to say no or being the disciplinarian. So I got to hear how you're processing all this.
I'm struggling because I am the no mom. There are so many things that I say no to, and it's for their good. No, you cannot have that lollipop that's the size of your head. Like, that's not going to be good for you. No, you cannot, jump off the tower you built of precarious items. Like, you might break your neck.
Stay up till 2 a.m. in the morning. Or, the list really goes on and on.
Does.
Yes.
So,
and you're not, you are definitely not alone, right?
Yeah.
And dads often are like the fun one, you know what
yes.
I mean?
How does that happen? I would like to resolve that.
Because we say yes too easily. But here's the thing, a no can actually be a yes, and I'll explain. When you say no to the wrong thing, you're saying yes to the right thing. You just have to give them the right thing, right? So I can say yes that he wants I can say yes to the idea that he wants a treat or he wants a candy bar. Oh, dude, you love how that tastes, right? Well, hey, buddy, we can't have candy right now because it's almost bedtime. However, here's what we can do, right? Okay. And so now I'll give him a new choice, which is another game in improv, right? I'll give him a new option, a new choice. Neat. And so I'm taking things in another direction. So I'm not denying it by saying no. I'm acknowledging the feeling or the desire by saying X, Y, or Z. So my son will sometimes say, I just want to play Legos. Like, oh, buddy, you love Legos, don't you? Yeah, I do. I'm like, I'm so glad that you love Legos. That's so great. It's so fun and creative for you. I'll tell you what, buddy. Why don't you sleep for 10 minutes? And then when you wake up, you can play Lego. Well, I know that he can't just sleep for 10 minutes. He's going to fall asleep for the rest of the night, right?
Yes.
But I'm yes-anding his desire to do it. And then I'm saying this is a good idea. This is good and creative for you. So yes, you can do it. And why don't we do this? Let me direct your energy into another angle. Good. Does that make sense?
It does. And because what I've noticed with my kids is the minute I say no, a wall goes up.
Yes.
I mean, it's instantaneous that they are either filled with emotions that I don't want them to feel. Sad, angry, frustrated. They're not going to listen to why I don't think that is an appropriate choice or a good idea.
Yeah. You know what I'll sometimes do is I'll get excited for something. So my son, he was under the weather for the last couple of days. And he's like, Daddy, I want to go for a walk. I want to go outside. And it's 34 degrees. I'm like, buddy, it's freezing outside. Quite literally. Water is about to freeze right now. He's like, I want to go for a walk. I was like, buddy, I know you want to go for a walk. And I know you see those kids out there and you want to play with them, huh? He's like, yeah, I do. And so I'll say, buddy, I want you to go for a walk too. However, you're still recovering from not feeling really great. Oh, I got an idea. And so now I'll bring more energy and excitement to it. Buddy, let's play Play-Doh. And I'll build you an X-Wing, or I'll build you Darth Vader's ship. Let's do it together and we'll fly around the living room. And then he'll go, yeah, okay. Right? And so I didn't necessarily deny him his want to go for a walk. I honored it and acknowledged it.
Yeah.
So the Shema of like, I hear you and I'm acknowledging you. And now let me give you an offer. Let me change your direction.
Wow.
And that really goes back to knowing your child, because
100%.
you have a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
This can work for a 13-year-old. This can work for an 18-year-old.
Yeah,
you know
new
your
choice.
child. You know that thing that is going to just light them up if they get to, spend that time with you doing that certain action or talking about that certain subject. So.
Yeah.
And I loved how you mentioned bringing the energy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it.
It
is, not being the no mom and also just bleh.
Yeah.
Bringing forth the energy of joy and excitement.
Yeah.
Oh, I do love that. It sounds like this too, really, as far as just our own improvement in terms of being people, it's forcing you to be creative.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. My daughter loves to be held by me. And if I'm holding her for a while and then I just set her down, she instantly goes into like whiny, fussy mode. And I either, if I just walk away from her, she'll pout for a while and then she'll put her binky in her mouth and she'll be fine. I found that if I put her down by the stairs and walk up behind her, like she loves crawling up the stairs. So if I go behind her, just obviously she's 1, so I don't want her to fall down the stairs. Yeah. So I'm going up behind her as the guide, but I'm letting her climb. And then I'll play with her. She's going up like, oh, I'm going to get you. And then so she's like climbing a little bit faster. And then she's in this gameplay of daddy's going to come, like daddy's going to get her kind of a thing. And so she's laughing, giggling, climbing up the stairs. And then as she goes up the stairs, she'll find that she gets distracted by something else.
Yeah.
And then now I'm not putting her down and severing the here, daddy can't hold you anymore. Instead, it's like, hey, let's play that climb up the stairs game that you love to play. And then go adventure. And then now I can go finish the dishes or whatever dad was working on.
Oh, that's good. Oh. Also, it seems to me like this idea of being in the moment is a matter of self-discipline.
Oh, yeah.
It's really not natural.
No.
Isn't that sad that it isn't natural?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's vital. I mean, I don't think these would work if you aren't able to be in the moment. That probably really is the foundation of that. And then also realizing that the number one thing we are called to as parents is to disciple and raise our kids. That the dishes can wait, and we have to set good boundaries and we have to manage our time well. But that if we do those things, we really can put our family first and invest more into them instead of just brushing them off to the side.
100%.
Sean, I want to sit here and talk to you all day. It's just will you come back?
I'd love to.
I can see so many things. I want to know how you do this with teenagers. Now, you work with teenagers a lot. So that might be something else we can explore.
Absolutely.
And I can think of a whole list of things. So I've got you on the hook.
You got me on the hook.
Back. Okay.
I'm definitely down to come back.
All right.
Sure.
But right now, I bet there are people that would love to connect with you. I saw an award that you guys won at Recycled Minds. It was like best date night thing to do or something like that. We've got Valentine's
I can attest
Day.
to that because my husband and I have had a blast at your events.
So you have these performances that are really fun at your theater, and you coach, you teach classes, you do all these different things. How can people connect with you? How can they find you on social media? How can they get to your website and all of that good stuff?
Yeah, well, the easiest way is recycledmindscomedy.com. Also, we're on Instagram. Just type in Recycled Minds.
And then you can see that cute picture of you with your little
That's
kids.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, if you want to follow me personally, Sean Hancock or the Sean Hancock. Because there's others that are substitutes. So, and I spell my name the Irish way, SEAN. But that's the best way. The 3 things we do, as you said already, is we do classes. I do coaching. We do corporate training, so I love working with companies.
I just heard yesterday from somebody that you went to their company and trained, and they loved it. Said it was one of the best things they'd ever done.
Oh, yeah. It's wild. A lot of companies end up losing people. And for these bigger companies, they're losing millions of dollars because of turnover rate. And most people are leaving bad bosses, not leaving bad jobs. So what I do is I just bring these improv principles and have people interacting with each other. And now we're bringing humor and humanity. And you start realizing, oh my gosh, this is a human being that I just had a really great experience with in this improv exercise. Now I care for them more now than I ever did before. So yeah, it's wildly powerful. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is.
We should start having family ones for corporate.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think we're on to
100%.
something.
I think you are. Yeah, you're right.
See
Let's
that
talk.
in our future.
Yeah, I do have an online family course for if anyone wants to do some stuff at home. It's on our website as well.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, it's obviously a download for those who are listening and aren't in the Boise area and can't take a family improv workshop, which we should totally do. That's fantastic.
Oh, that is a great idea.
so many
we'll
great
link to that,
resources.
right? We'll get links, and we're kind of forming our own little family here, Sean, of parents, of people who really want to be intentional about finding those simple, God-given, wonderful ways that our families can heal. So you've added so much to that today. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us. We would love for you to reach out and tell us how improv is working in your home.
Try it.
Try it at home. Let us know how these principles have been applied in your home. And you can connect with us on ahomethatheals.com or on Instagram or Facebook at A Home That Heals. We love hearing from you. You are what inspire us and encourage us to continue searching for those God-given gifts that we can apply to our families to help our families heal every single day. So we wish you well, and we look forward to sitting with you and enjoying conversation next time.
A Home That Heals is produced in partnership with 89.5 KTSY. To find out more about them, go to ktsy.org.